Let's start with combat. There's improved aim assist where the lock-on is a little bit stickier, and you can now keep locked onto targets while you're strafing.
Well, I see nothing wrong with locking onto targets a la Assassin's Creed. It's the actual aim assist that I have the issue with. This sort of takes away the skill involved when you're shooting in a first-person or third-person shooter. So I don't know if this is going to be a good thing, although the idea of increasing your skill value or level in a certain weapon to increase your aiming or to decrease your reticule size seems like a fine idea anyway, which was already present in the game. So locking onto characters, fine. Locking onto characters for specific targeting, that might be kind of cheap and not very fun.
A huge change in combat is that they've removed class-based weapon restrictions and aim penalties. That means you can't train in weapons your class isn't specialized in, but you can still use them without being penalized.
This is where things get a little dicey. The RPG mechanics of class-based systems, like in Mass Effect 2 and 3, make sense within the game, but not within the game world. For example, in the first game, you could have any of the weapons equipped. In fact, you kind of had to, but now you can't put points into learning those skills. And I don't remember if all the skill trees for each class allowed you to put points into weapons you weren't as part of your kit. But now you can't even do that. So why even have weapons in the first place? This is kind of like saying, well, the military can only train you in 2 weapons because you're a vanguard. It's like, well, what about the sniper rifle? Nope, we can't do that. You're a vanguard. I'm sorry. So it takes away the believability of these concepts of having guns and being a Spectre and being part of the military. And instead it just goes, hey, we're going to streamline you into Mass Effect 2 and 3. Bravo. Ugh.
What about that inventory system, though? Well, it's still being worked on at the moment, but from the way they were talking about it, I wouldn't expect big sweeping changes.
This is interesting because you can convert all of your weapons and excess crap that you never use either into credits or to Omnigel, and that was kind of a joke of the Shadow Broker DLC where, oh, remember that time when we used to use Omnigel and break all the security? So it would be interesting how they deal with this. They could just keep it in and no one would care that much. But cleaning up the inventory system because there were so many items that you just did not use because they were inferior and of the same make and model, that's going to be tough to compare to the way they streamlined them all and made them very specific from manufacturers in Mass Effect 2. So I do recall getting the manufacturer license from all these gun companies back in Mass Effect 1 was a big deal until you just got Spectre and that was it.
Animations haven't been outright changed, but they have bug fixed a lot of them. So the example that BioWare gave was a lot of the times characters weren't necessarily looking exactly where they were supposed to, so they fixed that.
I don't know exactly what they fixed or changed from Mass Effect 1. I don't recall too many bugs with speech or dialogue options that were heads were turning left to right. I do remember that a lot in Mass Effect 3, though, so they might be talking about that.
Input camera and cover systems have also been smooth to try and eliminate some of that wonkiness you can get in Mass Effect 1.
So they're not really changing the cover system in Mass Effect 1, which is sort of a kind of optional thing, as opposed to Mass Effect 2 and 3, which is kind of necessary to do. They're just making it less wonky, less magnetic, less sticky, who knows. But Mass Effect 1 wasn't really a cover shooter per se. It allowed you to walk around a bit more, kind of like an Andromeda, where it allowed you to move about a lot more too. So I don't know, maybe they might change some of the skills on the soldier as well, so they're not invincible. But it sounds like they're trying to focus it more on cover shooting. But that would cause a lot of other changes to be fixed in Mass Effect 1, which, let's be honest, the shooting in general was not that good to begin with. So fixing up an animation here or there, making it less sticky, I don't know. Why not?
And speaking of wonkiness, the Mako has had a few touch-ups to make it easier to control, which I'm a little bit sad about because I love that awkward old thing, but I can see why a lot of people want it.
While I personally love the Mako in Mass Effect 1, a lot of people didn't, so I can understand they want to improve the controls or the acceleration or whatever. I get it, fine. If it will make some people happy, fine.
In-scope aim smoothing, cover pass, rebalanced XP for the level 60 cap, which means that you don't have to do it in New Game Plus, a more consistent autosave, thank God, improvements to boss encounters, improved cooldown for first aid. Minigames are also being unified across all platforms.
Okay, the first two I don't even know exactly what those are. Rebalanced XP makes sense. You want to have as much opportunities to gain XP because the missions are limited. More consistent autosave, I can see that's important on some levels, like with Novaria, the was the Geth encounter with the garage, I think, or going to and from Lorik Keen's office, and maybe the fight on Pharos to the Krogan Battlemaster when you're trying to save Liara. Those were only the major two really hard battles I recall from Mass Effect 1. Improved cooldown for first aid is probably there because there was such a huge wait time to use it a second time, and that's only because of what happens in Mass Effect 2 and 3, which is more action-oriented, where you can keep using your Medigel rather quickly. So, and lots of people can use first aid within Mass Effect 1. Lots of classes and characters can use it, so make it more action-packed, I guess. I don't know. Burn through your Medigel. Who knows? And unified minigames gets a little strange because the PC version of Mass Effect had some weird minigames, but I actually liked the way they did minigames in Mass Effect 2. Whether you enjoyed them or not is subjective, but I like the graphical approach to, let's say, closing a circuit or copying blocks of code. Those are all cool ideas, and it gave a little jump from the fast pace of some of the levels. So maybe that could be a bad thing in certain light, but I actually enjoyed them. So it's each their own. Some people don't even like minigames, but it was a nice change of pace. If they could include those minigames into the first game, that would be cool. I think that would be a nice thing if they're going to connect them all. And I don't know why they took them away from the third game, but anyway, cool stuff.
That's going to be unified, but I'm not sure which one we're going to be getting just yet. They also said they're going to be decreasing the difficulty and frequency of those minigames. So fingers crossed they'll do the same for Mass Effect 2 for the safe opening and hacking stuff, because too much.
It's to each their own. On certain levels in Mass Effect 2, like Dantius Towers, you want to keep the action going, and then there's a lull where there's no enemies and you want to explore a bit, and then you want to have mini games. That makes perfect sense. So I don't want to decrease the amount of them. I just want to put them in places where they belong. I think that's the best way to do them.
Is there going to be additional story content added? No. The devs did look at what was on the cutting room floor, but unfortunately the stuff that was cut from the games couldn't easily be put back in for the remaster. They would need to have been built from scratch, so nothing new in the game.
All of this was expected, nothing new, no new content, no new ending, no new this or that. It's a given. We got it. It's not a surprise. So anyone who wanted like an extra bit of DLC or romance options or this or that, nope, you're not getting it.
Elephant in the room time. Which ending will you get? Well, upon finishing Mass Effect 3 in the Legendary Edition, you will be presented with the Extended Cut. Max said the Extended Cut provides a lot more context, and to him, is part of the canon.
Again, nothing new. The Extended Cut was always part of the canon. Nothing was ever going to be changed anyway. So all DLC is canon. Of course it is.
The dig site at Eden Prime, they moved the sun around, so you get the light coming through the trees. It looked really, really cool.
Mass Effect has always had stuff like lens flares, but look at the difference between the new scene and the old scene. This is like in the daytime, you got this giant sun in your face, and there's this giant weird-looking squid creature up in the background there, and now you have the old one where it's scary red lightning bolts and dark and spooky. Like what do you think looks more imposing, more dangerous, more freaky? The one with the lens flare or the one without?
However, there's one piece of DLC missing, and that is Pinnacle Station from Mass Effect 1. Now, if you played Mass Effect 1 on PS3, you might remember that Pinnacle Station wasn't there, and it was actually because the source data was corrupted. I asked Mac about this, and it's the exact same reason here.
This is not that big a loss. I think the Pinnacle Station DLC was just a fun little romp to get high scores. It wasn't a big deal. Luckily, they still have Bring Down the Sky. So, yeah, it's kind of sad you don't get it, but it's not a huge problem. So, yeah, meh.
Mass Effect 3 multiplayer didn't make it into the Legendary Edition. We knew that.
I actually had no idea, and one of the main reasons of still playing Mass Effect 3 is the multiplayer. Now I have no reason to buy the Legendary Edition. Thanks, BioWare.
However, according to project director Mac Walters, it was apparently on the table at the very beginning, but it would have been so difficult to implement. He actually likened the amount of effort it would take to put multiplayer in this collection to be on par with what it took to uplift the whole of Mass Effect 1. So it got cut.
Again, they lost themselves a sale. Why would you do this? This is a fundamental property of playing Mass Effect 3. All the DLCs that came out, all the packs, all the heroes and units you could play as and unlock. That was fun. It's a very well-balanced multiplayer. Why would you not do this? This is like should be property number 2 after graphics and all the other glitches and problems are solved. But nope, they can't be bothered. It would take too much effort. And they've had how many years? How many years to figure this out? Nope, can't do it. Too hard.
So how does galactic readiness work now? Well, it got rebalanced, and caveat, it's still being tweaked right now, but Mac was saying that it's much easier to get the best ending if you play through Mass Effect 1, 2, than 3. However, if you just play Mass Effect 3, you can still get the best ending, you just have to really max out everything.
What this translates to is they are making the EMS scores even dumber than before, even easier to get points. So imagine playing just Mass Effect 3, not playing multiplayer, and doing everything that you're supposed to be doing anyway, all the side missions, etc. And you can get the best versions of whatever ending you want. Wow, it's going to be even easier to get the best ending, which was never hard in the first place. This is just easy mode again, making things as streamlined as possible. We wanted the graphics streamlined. We wanted the gameplay streamlined. We didn't want the actual difficulty streamlined. That's dumb. So those were the only things I really noticed about that info dump from Lucy. What do you guys think? If you're getting it, why? And if you're not getting it, also tell me why. What's the thing that stopped you from ever picking it up? I'm kind of happy with my versions of Mass Effect so far. Graphics aside, I mean, could they have made the internal helmet of Tali's face better? Maybe that might cause me to pick it up. But until they sell me that, I don't really care. So thanks for listening. Have yourself a great day.